Hello! Welcome to Just Chillin' with Maya and Kayla.
Hi.
Today I wanted to talk about our high school experiences. We are freshmen in college at the moment, and I've just been thinking about my high school experience because I've had so much time to kind of dwell on it, I feel like, during this, during
Yeah.
this quarantine. And we were as seniors when this obviously happened, so the kind of, I guess, last quarter of our senior year was kind of, I guess, ended, hijacked by it.
Well, you could argue before I remember the juniors were one of the things that bothered me when coronavirus hit was that all the juniors were like, "Oh." And I
What
was
do you
making
mean?
I was making fun of them for being sad because I was like, okay, like we don't get to
Oh,
graduate, so how
boo
about you get
hoo.
over it? But now
Yeah.
it's like, well, dang, I
They're,
kind of feel
mm-hmm.
bad because they didn't get anything this year at all,
Yeah. Oh, unless
unless they
they're
went,
unless
unless
they're
they
actually
went
going, but it's
in
a lot
person.
different, I guess. I
Yeah,
mean, even though
they're
I
still not
heard,
gonna get like prom,
yeah,
graduation, probably
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
So juniors, I'm sorry.
That is true, actually, for a lot of them. That is true.
Mhm.
But for the people that at least are going to, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, um, well, I mean, I haven't been inside since. I've just seen the parking lot, which has been not like completely full, but it seems like,
Mhm.
okay, there's a good deal of people, at least in the student parking lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And from what I've heard, it's not like the hallways have like increased by 6 feet,
Mhm.
or how like just a massive amount of feet for people to, I guess, accurately like be
Yeah.
far apart from each other. So it's like people apparently are still kind of clogged in the hallways, even if they're
Mhm.
wearing masks. But I mean, who knows? Even because kids are kids.
Well, yeah.
So yeah. So I guess let's give some background into a little bit of the high school. So I wanted to keep everything sort of private, anonymous, just for everyone's, I guess, privacy and safety and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So, yes, we did go to high school. We did graduate from high school
Yeah, yeah.
and during all this. And, oh, my computer just, okay. And we wanted to sort of just talk about our experience. I don't know what kind of background else should I give. Uh, I don't know the demographics. I guess it's fairly. I don't want to say fairly wealthy, but I guess fairly
Oh,
wealthy
I
and
think our
white.
district is very wealthy compared to other districts
Yeah,
in the United States.
yeah. Aren't we like the richest county in our state?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
So yeah, so I guess that just to give some context, but so I want to talk about some examples at least that I thought of from my experience, and then we can kind of just bounce off
Mhm.
each other. I was thinking. Um, so I guess not all of it is bad. Not all of it is like, okay, I hate the school. Like that's not what I am thinking. So yes, so we have a friend in the high school now who is a junior,
Mhm.
and I guess let's just start off with his thing because I guess that could kind of get the ball rolling into the kind of general teacher attitude and the empathy and compassion or the lack thereof
Mhm.
there. So we have a friend who will remain nameless, and he showed us the communication between like the online communication between students and teachers,
Mhm.
and he messaged him saying like, look, I have been struggling lately with mental health. I mean, I think a lot of people have been with
With the
COVID.
pandemic, sure,
I think
sure.
so. Okay, yeah. And so he kind of gives like, some explanations like as to why he hasn't been doing some of the work and how he's been feeling. And then the teacher replies, I might not do this justice because I was talking to Kayla about it earlier, and she was like, "You made him out to seem the teacher to seem much more nice than he actually came off in that message."
Yes, I
And,
thought so.
so he said something to the effect of like, "Okay, you can make up that lesson, blah 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 blah. I want you to
But
pass." Or no, it wasn't even that. It was like you don't deserve an A. Let's just try. You should just try to pass and blah blah blah. What am I
well,
missing?
it
What?
was more along the along the lines of, I'll let you make up this thing, but let's face it, you don't deserve an A. Like you're not gonna get an A. You don't deserve
Yeah.
one. So let's just try to pass at this point. And it's like, okay, condescending much? Like, oh my god, you're a 30-something-year-old talking down to this young boy.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, he's a junior, but still a minor, still a child.
He's like 16,
I know.
and the teacher is just being. There's a lack of a real. That message was just so
Tone deaf.
apathetic.
Mm-hmm.
To a message that clearly needed empathy. I mean, this our friend sent this message that was, quite long, I would say, I guess.
I would think so.
And then it's met with this tiny, very curt response from the teacher. And it's like
I mean, I understand, being a teacher and I guess not wanting to, because it's like, okay, I guess the mentality is if I do it for one student, then I have to do it for every student who comes to me with this stuff. And
well,
maybe it's a lot, and
maybe given the mental health struggles of some students, I guess, very very mental health conscious and aware and wanting to help people, but a part of me, it doesn't seem like they actually kind of genuinely believe that message. It feels like they're just saying it because a lot of the teachers didn't actually seem to be that compassionate and caring towards their students, especially even if not especially, but just even when they came with them, if they had some kind of issue, like this student here who is our friend, coming to a teacher, telling him about his poor mental health.
I mean, you can think like, I don't think you deserve an A, so I'm not going to help you get one. But you don't have to say it to him.
Yeah.
It's like he is clearly struggling, whether or not you believe it. He is distressed. He is coming to you for help as his superior in this situation, and it's just very unnecessary. Just a very unnecessary
I think it's
comment.
rude. I think it
is rude.
It's not what an
it's
adult.
Very degrading.
Yeah, I think another thing is that when you kind of open yourself up to someone, and then it's met with that kind of response of just apathy and rudeness, it makes the other person feel so. I can imagine how horrible it could make someone feel. Just kind of it's awkward. You were vulnerable and then you were just shut down, so it's kind of sad and it hurts.
I feel like it's very discouraging.
Yeah,
that
discouraging, demoralizing.
Yes, a lot. That's probably why a lot of the students are will not come to their guidance counselors, who our guidance counselors were not even present most of the time.
Yeah,
you had to schedule a lot of your grievances.
Yeah,
which is a big problem. We have guidance counselors who aren't even guidance counselors. They're football coaches who were put into the position of a guidance counselor. I mean, come on.
It's weird. I don't know.
Give me a break.
Yeah. I was thinking, it would be nice if there were routine checkups for your students. Don't talk about it. And that's another thing. Any kind of tragedy that would happen, or not even tragedy. Sometimes I remember with the election when I was a freshman in 2016, and I guess this is now 2017 when Trump was inaugurated. And we weren't allowed to talk about it. We weren't allowed to talk about the election. We weren't allowed to talk about anything like that. And I was like, we can't have what does that teach us in a academic intellectual school environment? Wouldn't you want to foster these kind of civil, thought-provoking and debate discussions? I guess not, because they told you not to do it. I mean, I didn't care. I was like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to talk about it anyway. Another thing that I forgot to look up was that Supreme Court case. Let me do it right now, actually, with the kids and the armbands in Vietnam War, and I forget what they ruled.
I think they ruled that it was a violation of the First Amendment right, which is true. People should be able to demonstrate peacefully. People should be able to enunciate. I guess enunciate isn't the right word.
Articulate.
Articulate is a better word. Yes, thank you. on their opinions. I think we should be learning as we get older that people are going to have different opinions from us, and that we are going to have to learn, whether or not we agree with them, how to be respectful individuals and how to freely express ourselves in a very constructive and healthy
Yeah, you'd
way.
think that's what school would be there for.
Oh, yeah.
So this is saying that it said that the Supreme Court majority ruled that neither students nor teachers, quote, shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate. The court took the position that school officials could not prohibit only on the suspicion that the speech might disrupt the learning environment. So I guess if it does disrupt, then you can't. But that's exactly what it is. It's like they think that talking about these things will disrupt, but clearly it's saying here that you can't do it only on that suspicion. So it's like, what?
Yeah,
it was like that with the election. So I do have a problem with how the school. I think it's BS when they are like, oh, like we care about our students and we're so empathetic and like we're having like a mental health day and blah blah blah. But like specifically senior year, that was like the most depressed I've ever been, and I didn't feel my teachers cared about me at all. And sure, you could say, well, why should they care about you? Like don't care about what they think, or well, like you should just be strong for yourself, or like boo-hoo, your teachers didn't like you. But I was also like, I don't think I'm a bad kid. I wasn't a bad student. My GPA was over a 4 point. I'm not trying to brag, but I'm like, I wasn't like this disruptive and bad kid. So when I felt, especially in my senior year, that I wasn't getting the respect that I felt like I kind of deserved. I don't know about you. I'm not trying to sound entitled, but I just felt like I had worked for it. And then I felt like I was getting punished in my senior year. Like it wasn't just me like, going to the principal's office. That didn't happen. I'm talking about it was across the board kind of things. They used to be more relaxed with, say, hall passes. And sure, a lot of schools do that, but it was something that we, I guess, weren't entirely used to, because you could kind of get away with just walking around with your book, and it didn't necessarily have to be signed, even if the teacher said, oh, I'm not going to sign it, but like I gave you permission, go ahead,
I would
that
love
would happen.
to move on to that topic.
Yeah.
Actually, I would love to talk about that
and our
topic.
senior year is when they kind of switched it to where, like stop walking in the hallways. They were a lot more strict about it, and I was just like, dude, I'm not causing trouble. Like if I have to get from point A to point B, I don't want to have to sign up with a teacher every time I have to run an errand, because sometimes I was busy and I had to run errands in the school.
I remember in our one class in our last period, I don't know if you remember this, I remember the day. No, not
that
even
was
the
that.
day.
Yeah,
the
I remember that.
The period that it went into effect.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
Because all of the teachers were like in the halls and they were like talking to each other, and then me, you, and our other classmate were all together, and we were like, what? Like that's so weird. And then we were walking back to our classroom, which was like 2 feet away, and this one woman at the desk was like, "Where's your hall pass?" And we were like, what? We were like, our teacher told us that we could go, and she was like, well, next time have one, or something like that. And we were like, okay, the classroom's literally right there.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's pretty harmless. It's like we were walking. It's not like, I don't think we were being too disruptive. But I actually do remember, and this is something I do kind of feel, I guess, bad about, because on that kind of errand that us three were running, and we had to go to like we were in a class upstairs, and we had to go downstairs to, I don't know, like retrieve one of your books or something. Sure, me and this other classmate did not have to go with her. That is entirely true. But at the same time, I don't think we were causing too much trouble, and we had already finished our work in that class. And I feel like, okay, that's really making school more of a prison. It's like, okay, no fun for you. You can't go, for a walk to help your friend grab a book, because like that's unnecessary. It's like, okay, so I guess a lot of these things are unnecessary, and just no one should have fun.
But
like I'm not trying to.
At the same time, it's like, okay, well, it's not like we asked and then our teacher
True, and our teacher
delivered.
did allow us
It's
to
like,
go.
if she didn't want us to go, or
Very
she's not allowed
true.
to let us to go, then she shouldn't have let us go.
Yeah.
But that being said, I also don't blame her because it was such a harmless trip, and it was a
Yeah.
quick trip
Yeah. I
at
mean,
that.
I do feel bad because I think one time I think I was talking to our one classmate while you went in to get the book, and that was my one teacher. I want to know if you know who I'm talking about without saying it. I
Yes, I
think you know,
do.
and she gave me. I don't know if I'm making it up in my head or perceiving it differently, but it seemed like she was giving me such a dirty look because I was outside. I didn't think I was talking too loud to my other classmate, but it was because you had to it was when you interrupted her class to get the book, and she just seemed so annoyed, and I was like, oh no, this is not doing our case for the whole hall pass thing any good, you know.
She gave me a dirty look. I was like, listen, lady, I'm just gonna get my book. Go keep teaching your class.
It did come off very like hostile, and I was like, I'm not trying to, and you weren't trying to like do anything bad. It's like you just had to get your book, you know. There are people that come in to get their books all the time, and people still continue to teach, you know.
It's a quick in and out thing. I'm not asking you
Yeah.
to get down on your knees and help me look. I'm just asking if I can come in
Right.
and look for my book.
Right.
I know which seat I sit at. It's a quick.
Right.
I mean, come on.
So it's things like that where it's like, dude, why is it unnecessarily hostile across the board for some of the teachers? It was like unnecessarily like, oh, that brings me to my other teacher. I obviously I can't say who or for what class, but you know, I had a teacher one time. And I don't even know if I want to say what year, but let's just say it was just a thing like I felt, you know, that I, you know, kind of earned my place, and I, you know, felt like I was mature, or you know, and I was outwardly mature, and that I kind of should be a little respected at least. And I was saying like the bell rings at like 7:40, and I was there at like 7:25, 7:30 or something, and I was like, I put my stuff down, and then I was like, hey, you know, I just got to run some errands. You know, my friend left her. I have to go like do this, and my friend Kayla left her shampoo at my house, blah blah blah. And she's like, that's not my problem. And I was like, I didn't say this, but in my head I was like, I didn't say it was your problem. I'm just being all like, I'm making small talk. I'm like, I just have to go run some errands. I have to go do this. Like, haha, my friend left this. And she immediately kind of took that and was just like, that's not my problem. And I was like, dude, what the heck? I didn't say it was. I'm just telling you that I'm doing that. It's not like I'm going to be late. I'm not saying that I'm going to intentionally skip your class because I'm going to go talk to my friends and whatever. That's not what I'm saying. It's like, and I feel like, maybe this is an unfair comparison, but there's this other girl, I don't know if I've told you about her, who was in one of my classes that I had with that teacher, and you know, that teacher seemed to like adore her. So I'm just thinking like, if that girl to that teacher
was like
was saying like, oh haha, like I just have to go do this and blah blah, she'd probably be like, oh haha, sure. You know. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? Like, what? I don't know why you don't like me. Like, I don't understand.
It's the whole weird popularity status.
Yeah.
That for some reason.
And I'm not saying like that girl. I'm not hating the student, by the way.
No.
I'm just.
It's the teachers.
It's unfair for the teacher to do that.
For clearly favoriting certain students.
Because I would try to make small talk and be nice, and she would sometimes, but other times it would just come off so like hostile, you know. And and just especially just like, you know, okay, if you're a kid that doesn't have rocky mental health, fine, you can take it. But if you're one that is very like, I don't know, just more sensitive to how people treat you, yeah, sure, you could say grow some thick skin. But at the same time, it's like, how about just being nice though? You know, it's like, I'd like it if my teachers are nice to me.
If you're going to work with children, you definitely should.
And well, if I want to keep airing my grievances about that teacher, if I may, for just a couple more seconds, because she was nice for the most part, and I do there's one funny story. You know, I accidentally was just spelling her name apparently like the whole year, and I didn't realize it was honestly not supposed to be malicious. I did not realize I was misspelling her name. She did the same thing, I noticed, and I'm like, I have you for like multiple classes, like why do you not know how to spell my name? Because she misspelled it like in front of the whole class one time. And other students came up to me and was like, you have her for multiple classes. Why why did she spell it wrong?
Yeah.
And even in like the last post for the year, she misspelled my name again in like
Well,
a goodbye post. And I'm like,
that is just, and I'm sorry.
I'm like, what?
I remember she misspelled your first name.
No, that's what I mean. She didn't misspell my last name, which is
Yeah.
usually what people do. But she misspelled my first name.
But to my point is that she misspelled your first name, which is 4 letters, 2 which are the same letter,
Yeah.
interchangeably.
Yeah.
And she spelled.
I don't even know how she spelled it. I don't even remember.
How do you mess that up? And she
Probably
spelled.
Mia, something along that
So
those lines.
stupid. But she spelled correctly. I cannot specify, but one athlete.
Right, and that reminds me. There is
his
a
last
student.
name.
There is a student in one of my classes with her. But it seemed like she had like a favorite, and he was that favorite, you know. And after he, you know, won an award show, you know, she was just goo goo gaga, you know, and I'm just like, what the heck, you know? I know he's very, you know, charismatic and smart and blah blah blah, but like,
Oh, yeah.
but like, goddamn, like, what? I want some love, you know? I'm like,
Give her some
I'm not gonna
love.
lie, I was jealous because I was like, I was just jealous because it felt like, you know, what am I doing wrong that I'm not earning, I guess, the attention that I want from my teachers, you know, because
I feel
don't
like
know.
that's
And
not really an appropriate question for students to be wondering about, where they're seeking the validation.
should
of
I
their
not be doing
teachers.
that?
No, I'm saying, you know, you're entitled to your
Right, okay.
feelings, but I'm just saying that if the teachers were acting appropriately, you wouldn't be feeling that way in the first place.
right, I just felt
Students should not be feeling
Yeah.
like they have to seek the validation of their teachers
Yeah.
and wondering
just-
what they're doing wrong.
Yeah. Right. And because it's not like I was like that bad of a student, especially that's the kind of that class and that subject matter was stuff I was actually interested in. I mean, I had that class early in the morning, so well, I'm not pleasant, I guess, in the morning, but it's not like I'm mean. I wasn't I might have just been quiet, but you know, I don't know. I wanted to shine in high school. I really did. And it's not like I didn't try, I don't think, you know. Excuse me. I mean, I don't know about you, but I did do TV studio, which, you know, I don't know. I want to put myself out there, but it does give me a little bit of anxiety, I will admit. So I was kind of scared to kind of do that, and I remember like being so freaked out on my first time being on air in TV studio, and I was like talking so fast and blah blah blah. But that was like me trying to put myself out there and trying to like get people to like know my name and stand out and blah blah blah.
I feel like people did a little bit though. Weren't
Thank
people
you.
like, you're the TV studio
Yeah.
guy on TV?
And here's the thing though. I also did jazz band, and I had a couple solos playing my saxophone, tenor saxophone. And here's the thing. The school has a website, and they usually have like, you know, okay. My phone ran out of storage, but I quickly deleted a bunch of stuff. So let's see how much time this gives me. Where were we? I remember we were on. Okay, so
we were talking about
the
jazz
website and Spotlight and Jazz Band. Yeah. So they have a website.
Did you not get a spotlight?
So that's the thing. A bunch of these, and we've talked about this before, but you know, we've talked. So the school kind of seems to value more sports and things like that. Academics, which makes sense, but you know, and I guess sports to a degree does make sense, but it's kind of like, okay, maybe be a bit more fair to other people who are not necessarily doing sports but are still contributing to the school and whatever in their own special way, I guess. Because I would do jazz band and I had solos, and never once did I make it like on any page to the website. None of the music.
Well, yeah, I think the
did
music
that
department in
much.
general. I mean, you guys were
That's-
shoved into the corner of the school anyways.
Yeah, literally. I
Like,
guess.
literally.
I mean, here's the thing. I'm not one to be like, you know, a big band nerd. I'm not trying to be cringe, but I on the face of it, it is unfair, you know, to only spotlight like certain things like sports and things that are cool, but then it's like, okay, if someone has a solo or someone is showcasing their talents in other ways, it's like, why aren't they being spotlighted on the website too? It's just, on the face of it, that's unfair. Okay, so yes, so that was the whole thing with the spotlight, and just, it's like, okay, I feel like I'm trying to make myself stand out and yada yada yada, but I'm not getting any recognition and also any like respect. It felt like. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's true. I think, it's great that we have people who are athletic and who clearly excel and contribute to the school in their own way. And there's a lot of, we had friends on the academic team who are very smart, and I do believe deserve to be on said academic team. That being said, sports and academics quickly become the only thing that is valued by the school that we went to, which I feel like goes for a lot of schools.
Yeah.
But for our school, our administration at least, it felt very self-centered. It felt very self-serving.
Yeah.
It was all for their own image. If you could not supply them with something that boosted them or earned them
some
a
kind
good
of
standing,
clout or money or whatever.
a rating.
There's so many
even.
other things that, we're not saying, don't value sports and academics. That's not what we're saying.
Sure.
We're saying there's so many other things also that you can value just as much, and that they didn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the music department was given any recognition at all. I don't think that the band at most was what we got when it came to music. But orchestra, I have never seen the orchestra come out and perform at all.
Yeah.
The chorus would rarely come out. The band was the people who they relied on
if
when
any,
it came
if they
to
focused on anyone,
instrumentals.
if they focused on anyone, it would be.
But even then, you guys are shoved into the corner of the school. Like, literally the back of the school.
Well, I don't mind that. That's fine.
But I think it's very telling. I think it's very telling. When we
Oh.
have two gyms. Two gyms.
What? This is another thing, though. It's not quite related to music or anything like that, but I was thinking about like the dogs and how they tried to have these wellness days. So basically, I should say that, so there is clearly a mental health issue central to our school. I think I guess it's not just it's not just unique to our school, but it was an issue while we were there, and it still is one.
Clearly.
And it feels like, that they aren't offering the kind of assistance that they should be giving to a lot of these kids that may need it, in these, with their mental struggles and so on. So they would have these days, these wellness days, and they'd bring in dogs and, I don't know, just have like fun activities. And, I remember in my senior year, but it was like no one would like tell you about it or know about it. Like, I was told about it just by one other person. Like, I heard about it from one other person who heard about it from like one other person. And it's like, why aren't they advertising something like this? Okay, like, I know you don't want to distract from school, but it's like, okay, if you're trying to make people happier because that there's a mental health problem at our school, why aren't you telling people that, like, hey, there's dogs in the gym, let's go do dog yoga? And when I went there, and I went during one of my classes, and my teacher allowed me to, even people were there, was like, are you supposed to be here, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, why is the attitude so exclusive? Like, shouldn't you be inclusive? I don't understand.
That is another thing too. To add to your point, how it is very exclusive when it should be very inclusive if it's a wellness thing.
Yeah.
It was only for a few, not even all of the lunch periods. Because I remember one year when I had 7th period lunch, which is the very last lunch period.
It sucks to have 7th period lunch.
I know. It's like, not only do I have 7th period lunch,
Sorry, that reminds me of something, but
I do
continue.
want to segue. If I'm thinking about what you're thinking, I want to segue into that as well. I do want to talk about that.
Right, okay.
But, what was I going to talk? Oh, about the dogs. I had 7-period lunch. It's like, okay, not only is it rough enough that I can't eat lunch until like 2:40 in the afternoon after not having eat, because I didn't have enough time to eat in the morning when school started at like 7:30.
Yeah, sometimes it would be hard to.
Right, so I have to wait
I
until
sometimes I wouldn't
2:40
even
to
have
have
an
my first
appetite that
meal.
early.
Yeah, true. It's like but anyways, so I didn't have the opportunity to go to the dogs, which is rough for people who maybe do need, the support of the wellness day. It's like, okay, I didn't need it, but it would have been nice. It definitely would have been nice. I have always wanted to see the puppies.
Right. Did you ever?
No, I've never seen the
Oh
puppies.
no,
I never saw the
Kayla.
puppies, and I was upset about
That
it.
yeah.
It was a
That's
little,
horrific.
yes, I know. Very traumatic.
It's traumatizing, yes.
But even then, you couldn't go during, they would only be there for 4th period, 5th period, and 6th period. If you had 7th period, screw you. If you had a study hall those periods, screw you. If you didn't have a lunch that day, screw you.
True, because sometimes kids wouldn't have a lunch even built in. Jeez.
So
Yeah.
only a few people even got to go. It's like, what? Isn't this supposed to be like an inclusive?
Well, yeah, and I mean the thing with the study hall, you technically weren't allowed to go to the lunchroom if you had a study hall, but other days I would have a study hall but not a lunch. So I'm like, what? I'm just gonna go eat lunch. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So I would just do it anyway. And even when they're really cracking down on where you were, I would be like, okay, I'm going to the library. I would go into the library, sign in, and then immediately leave so I could go have my lunch because I needed to eat. And the thing about that, you could say, okay, well, why couldn't you just bring a lunch with you in class? The reason that is because they had no food zones. And I understand that there are a lot of food allergies, but it's like, can you trust me to not bring, anything with nuts or not even trust me, just, okay, fine. Don't just tell us don't bring in nuts or anything like that. And I won't make a mess. Like, okay, I was 17 when I graduated high school. So it's like, can you trust me to not, trust me to know how to eat and like not make a mess? Because if I have to eat and it's during class time because either my lunch is too late or whatever, it's like, bro, I'd like to eat. And I mean, even sometimes I would just do it anyway because I would just get fed up because I felt like there were just so many restrictions and so many things like that where I was like, look, okay, I want the liberty to be able to eat, please, so I can, have this energy to be able to be performing at the ability that I would like to be performing at, and whatever.
And if I can take that point about the lunch and segue into my issue with the lunch.
Oh,
I
yes.
had a big issue.
Yes.
I had a big issue by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Closing in on the end of the year. I was already fed up. Yeah. They had the hall pass thing. My mom would give me like $5 or something for my lunch. And one could say, okay, well, you should just use that for your lunch, because admittedly I would save it for myself. When she would give me money, I would save it for myself so that I could pay for other things, because more or less I was completely financially dependent on myself in terms of taking care of my car, in terms of
I guess independent.
Making sure. Oh yeah, independent. I was financially independent.
Dependent on yourself.
I was financially independent, more or less. Yes, my parents did give me a roof over my head, but everything else I had to supply.
It was like, screw you, you're on
my own. So I would stash that money, so I had some money, to
well,
put
you pay
towards
for your
those
car
other
insurance
things.
and
right, and but anyways, that's why I was so far in the negative. So with our lunch balances, you can go into the negative, and it's supposed to be like negative
20,
like
or
a
15?
negative something
or 10.
like that.
Or maybe even might be negative
It
10.
it might be. It might have been 10. It was something like that. Um, and so I would often be in the negative because I couldn't afford for the lunch. Also because everything was super marked up. I mean, donuts that are like $3 to $4, sandwiches that are $5. It's like, oh my God, no wonder so many people are in the negative.
I don't know how much it
How
should cost. Like I don't know how much like I'm trying to think of like a sandwich that how much it costs at like Wawa or something like
at
that, or like
Wawa,
Dunkin' Donuts.
they're like three like
You
three
can get really
dollars.
cheap sandwiches.
Right, but even then, it's also
Like your
cafeteria food.
meal could be like $5 at Wawa. Like it can be
Right.
super cheap.
Yes, and you can get a lot more for it.
Yeah.
Um, but their prices were super marked up, and it's cafeteria food as well. So it's like, well, why? Like, why is it so overpriced? So it really
True,
made
because
it
it's not even the
hard.
quality. No offense, the quality is not even
Yeah.
that good.
So it was hard to get, a sandwich or something, a drink, an extra apple or a snack on the side. It was hard
Oh my god, their
to
apples were horrible though.
yeah, they were
Ugh.
they were blah. They were very blah. But I remember I was in the negative and it would be fine cuz I would always end up, getting enough money to pay back my fee. But there was one point where I guess they shut it down. The school was like, no more with the negative balances. So you couldn't be in the negative at all, or else they would take your food. I remember she was like, I cannot, you cannot be in the
Oh, I
negative.
know the one cashier you're talking
Yes,
about.
and I actually
There
did
were
like her.
there were nice cashiers
They were
who would
very.
let you go.
She was the one
And
who
then
would
but
always
there was
let me
another but there
go.
I'm thinking of another one that would take
But the nice one who would let me go
yeah.
had to like crack down. And I felt bad because it's like, okay, you have to. But I was also mad because it's like, you took like, I waited in line for like
You to
15
take my lunch.
minutes
True.
for my sandwich.
Mhm.
And then you took my sandwich and threw it away in front of me. That made me mad. I was like, okay, I hate this administration
Yeah.
because now it's like not only are there students who don't have lunches, but now it's like for students who can't pay for their lunches
Yeah.
because guess what? Just because the district is so overpriced and so expensive,
A lot of
this
people
area is so expensive to live in. Yes, there are a lot of people who can afford that,
Right.
but there are also a lot of people who are not living in the
as
wealthier
well as
areas.
others in
There are
this
people who are not as well
Yeah.
off, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so poor, but it's like I will admit that I was not as fortunate to be as well off. My family was, teetering on the lower middle class. My sisters also went to school. I mean, the income was staggering a little bit, so it was tough for me because it's like, okay, not only do I have to pay for things by myself, but it's also like, okay, now I can't even pay for lunch. They won't even let me like
Yeah.
get a lunch,
And
which I felt like
yeah.
had to have been a violation of
some kind
sort
of right.
some sort
Right.
of right.
Yeah.
It's like I'm here for 8
Yeah.
hours and you're not even going to give me a lunch? That is so unhealthy.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to it's very unhealthy
for kids
and
that
dangerous.
for kids that are not as fortunate, and go to school, it's like what are you gonna do for those kids? Because if you think about it on the large scale, it's like, okay, a poor kid goes to school, can't eat, and because of that, their just developmental process. Of course, my phone lost storage again, so I had to take a quick break to fix that. So if you deprive a poor child of lunch, one could say that their developmental process will be severely, I guess, just not. I'm trying to think of a good word for it. They just won't develop as well as other kids who are, who would be fed. And then I feel like that then perpetuates this cycle of being poor and being malnourished and all of those negative, just factors and characteristics, just they just stay in that spot, and there's no ability to grow and get out of that, unless someone is really, really, really just, I don't know, just able to do that,
They
and pull a
do.
lot of strength to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, they do offer that free lunch program or whatever it was called. I don't remember what it
Okay.
was called. I remember they did offer a free lunch program for students who weren't as fortunate. That being said, I think it was a selective thing. They had to select you.
Did you apply that? Oh,
I
they had to
didn't.
select you?
I think it was selective because one of the girls who I talked to a
Mm-hmm.
little bit, she said that she randomly got it. She got an email.
Randomly?
Yes, she said that she and her mom got an email.
Huh.
They made an assumption that her mom was a single mother, which is not true because her parents were very happily married and they were both bringing in quite a bit of income.
Okay.
Um,
So,
but
okay.
she was given this free lunch program,
Okay.
which granted you, it they would give you like $10-15 to spend in the cafeteria, and that money would be compensated by the district.
Okay.
But then it's like, okay, well that's not, it's like, okay, the program in itself is good, but clearly it is not working because people like her, who it's like it's not her fault,
Mm-hmm.
but it is like she has admitted it herself that she did not need that. She did not need,
Okay.
and she said that she felt guilty
So I
having it.
wonder if you could have applied for it. But also, I didn't even really know about this, so it could have been advertised
I
way
don't.
better.
I think they
Too.
advertise it at the beginning of the year. I
Okay.
thought it was an application process.
Okay.
From the sounds of it, it sounded like it was a selective process.
That's weird that
which is
they
weird
selected that person.
because
I don't even know who this person is, but yeah, I don't understand. Well, here's the thing, but I know there are people that advocate for just free lunches for all, which I think would just, it's kind of like universal basic income. It's like, okay, everyone gets money, everyone gets fed, no matter your economic or whatever standing, it's just everyone's getting what they deserve, and what they need to just be at a basic, functioning, decent level of being.
I think that
Everyone's just taken care of no matter what.
that would be ideal, but I think the point of us paying for the lunch is to ultimately pay the people working in the
Yeah.
cafeteria. But that being said, our district is very rich,
Well,
and
for
they're always
wealthy
asking
districts,
for
yeah.
money. It's like you should be able to just pay your employees without also overcharging the student population.
Well, it's the kind of thing where it's like, how the U.S. like has like billions of dollars or maybe even more, like $8 billion or something, that is allotted to the military defense budget, but it's like, and it's like, I don't know, like it's more than a bunch of these countries like China, France, Germany, whatever combined.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how I guess a lot of schools are for their sports teams. It's like
Yeah.
they really put a lot of funding into them, and it could go to actually maybe feeding their students.
And I think the reason for that is so that when the students are alumni, and if they're still in the district, then they will be willing to donate and fund the district back for giving them a good time, which is like, okay,
Give
but
me a
don't
good
you
time.
want- or I guess, yeah, but I think it's like, okay, well, don't you want that for the whole population? Like, there's people who really, really hate you because of the things that you do, which I think is totally valid. If you hate the school district, at least this district that I'm talking
Yeah.
about, I think it's valid because you can look at all of the things that they've done. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll give it to them. I think I'm a very well educated person, but
Because
is that
of you.
also because I have also tried to educate myself as well? I feel like academically I'm a well educated person, but I also think that socially I'm more educated because I've put in the time to do that research. And also financially
Well,
I'm
yeah.
more educated.
But I don't know if the school
because
taught you that.
no, the school did not teach me
Yeah.
how to be educated in a social or a
Right.
financial sense. But I will
Yeah.
give it to them. They did offer me a good education, more than what I've seen going to school in the South.
Oh,
No
right.
offense to the South, but I do know that their public school system, their universities are
Yeah.
fine. Their public school
Yeah.
system, not there.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
definitely
that's a
not there.
problem. I think
It is a
so.
problem.
Yes, obviously, yes, we are privileged. But
Mhm.
I know that you are less fortunate than I am, but I guess we are both more privileged
Oh
than
yeah.
if we were going to school down south. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah. I
And so,
think
yes, we need to be appreciative of that fact. But that doesn't mean we can't, I guess, criticize so that the school system gets better. It doesn't mean that our opinion, I think, is invalidated, I think.
it's just very sneaky. It's very sneaky. It's very underhanded.
Right, the program?
Well, yes, a lot of the things that the administration does, you can tell that everything that they do is not in our best interest. And there have been many examples of that where they're trying to save face. For example, what happened our sophomore, no, it was our junior year with the whole graduation requirement thing that they just sprung on us randomly.
Oh,
We did
we
not
had
actually
to.
have to do that, but they made it out to seem because no one was doing it, and
The mic has been odd. I'll have to
yeah,
cut that out, though. That's fine.
that's
Um,
fine.
but yes, in conclusion, I do feel that because of how wealthy our school district is, maybe a little more funding to just making not necessarily even free, just making them more affordable for some students who can't afford it. And yeah, I mean, I guess, you could have done that program, but I don't know.
But it's not.
At the
I feel
same
like it's
time,
not
why are those
advertised,
prices?
and also why is it the student's responsibility to make sure that they are fed? If you're
Well, I guess too,
going
especially if you're a minor, it's like, okay, well, now you were in their care and you should be cared
right,
for. So,
right.
yeah, that is,
And
yeah.
also, they expect us. I mean, it's just ironic because it's like you need that brain food,
Yeah.
which yeah, you need food in order to function properly. You
Right.
need water, anything, some
Right.
sort of
But if you
nourishment to
can't,
function.
if you can't afford the food, or if you can't eat it because it's a no food zone, it makes it hard. It just makes these things harder, and it's just another thing it's just another kind of uh, just another difficult thing that you have to deal with. Just another annoying thing you have to deal with, like with the really strict hall passes, and then with the food.
They make it hard to love them.
Yeah.
They do make it
Um,
hard to love
Yeah,
them.
I wanted to, if I may, I
Oh,
wanted to
sure.
talk about. I have two more examples just before we go that I wanted to discuss. So there was one teacher that I had in a subject that I liked, and it was like it was like a college level class. So I was putting it was like, I guess, like, I don't know, the real deal. It's not like it was just some flimsy, like, stupid class. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But it was a college level class, and I thought that I was doing well. I got a B the first marking period, but I got like A's for the rest of it, so I had got an A for the year. And I would participate, and I thought the material was interesting, and I would engage with the teacher, and I thought they, for the most part, liked me and blah, blah, blah. But I definitely noticed kind of like a favoritism for, again, like the more sporty, popular white and blonde girls. So yeah, I just noticed a little bit of like a favoritism kind of thing, and it almost was kind of like, I don't want to, not like Arrested Development, but it was like she was going back into like her high school ages, because she would like go with these group of girls and be like what's like the what's the scoop, what's the tea, and they're just like gossip and talk about whatever, and I would be interested. I'd be like, I want to be a part of these conversations, but it was very almost like clicky and catty in that way, how she was doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, there was one moment, it was towards the end of the year, we were getting our exams, and I took a practice exam, and I got a 5 on the practice exam. And And I was surprised that I got a 5. I was thinking maybe I'd get a 4, blah, blah, blah. My teacher, in front of the class of people who were taking the test, because it wasn't like the actual class, it was a mix of all the other sections who were taking that test, because it was optional, because it was like a pre-test, I guess, like a practice test. And like in front of all these kids, she was like, "Oh, Maya, like I'm surprised you got a 5. I would have thought you would have gotten a 3, a 4 maybe, but a 5, like wow." And I was like, "What is that supposed to mean? I have an A in your class, like, and you're telling me you thought I was gonna get a 3? Like, okay, maybe think that, even though that's not really nice, but to like say it." That really, maybe you didn't mean it, or I shouldn't say you, because I don't know if you're gonna want to. But anyway, maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe they didn't mean it to hurt my feelings, but that was not a nice thing to say. No. It's the kind of thing. It's like, dude, where is the empathy and compassion? It's like, how about just be happy for your students' success, not being like, I thought you would have been so freaking stupid at this and gotten a lower score. It's like, be happy for me. And it's not like I didn't deserve it, because it's like I got an A in your class. I don't understand.
To their teaching ability as well. Clearly you learned what you had to learn from.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how about be happy for yourself and be happy for your student that she's going to potentially get a 5 on the actual
ratings
exam
or whatever.
Right. But it's like, okay.
And then, oh, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, be happy for your student that they're going to get the highest possible, potentially get the highest possible score.
Right.
And then you did get the highest.
And then I did get a 5 on the actual exam.
So how about just be happy?
So it was just one of those things where it's like, why are you putting me down right now? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't it was just one of those comments I was like, okay, that was not necessary and not nice.
Going back to what we originally talked about.
Going back to what we originally talked about.
It's just not necessary. You don't have to make those comments.
Yeah, and it was also hurtful, even if she was thinking that. It's like, dude, I wanted you to like me, whatever. Yeah. I don't know. Because it was a topic that I was interested in, and I felt like I was invested in. Because sure, there are other classes that's like, okay, I might be doing well, but I'm not necessarily as invested in them because... Like, for example, I'll keep it vague, my one math class, that teacher, super nice guy. He was very compassionate, very nice, and I shouldn't have even, it's like, of all people, he shouldn't have been that nice to me, I feel like, because I was just not good in his, voice crack, I was just not good in his class, and I would just not do that well on tests, and I didn't really understand the material, and sure, like, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person or stupid or whatever, but it's like, him of all people should have, whatever, like, he didn't favorite me, but you know what I mean. Like, I didn't think it was that warranted. I would have understood. But he was actually very, very nice to me all throughout. And so, yeah. And I also, one of our language teachers, he was also a nice and compassionate person. I feel bad that I didn't necessarily, continue with his classes for my 4-year tenure at that school, but I think I just was scared that I wasn't going to do well in the class, and I didn't feel like I would have been prepared as well as I needed to be to get like a 5 on that exam. But that doesn't mean that he didn't actually care about his students or wasn't a nice guy. Like, he was very compassionate, very interested in your well-being.
Right. And your learning and in your well-being. I mean, I'll give him credit where credit is due. It's very hard at that school, especially those kinds of teachers, those like actual people.
Yeah, who actually treat you like people.
They're hard to come by. They really are.
You had a good experience with one of our teachers, too. You were telling me about the other day.
Yes.
And how he actually inquired about, like, how you were doing to, like, her guidance counselor, which was, I mean, I guess I'll let you tell it. But it was very sweet.
Yeah, I mean, he, just what you said. He inquired about my well-being when I was out for a while because I was sick. And my guidance counselor told me, and I was like, wow. And it was one of those things where it's like, I feel like an individual. Like, I feel like he cares about me as an individual, which I wasn't asking for, and I didn't expect, because it's like, okay, you have so many students right?
Yes, to give
To give that care to, and it's like I wouldn't say I did not participate a lot in that class at all. I still did well in the class. I think I got an A in the class.
I remember though, I think he thought we were gay really quickly because I don't know why I said this, but I was in that class. We had it for different class periods, and she came in and left, and I was like, "Love you." But I was like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like, I meant it. I didn't mean it in like, a dating where I love you.
Yeah.
I meant it as in like, you're my best friend. I love you. But the way he looked at us after I said that,
Did he look at you weird?
Yeah, it was like, wait, what? It was that kind of like, and I was like, I think he thinks we're gay now. Which obviously nothing wrong with that, but
I mean, hey.
What? What are you trying to say? I know the thing is, so Kayla, really quickly, Kayla and I definitely want to touch on this in like another podcast about that also experience of how a lot of people thought we were gay in high school for each other, and I always was like, oh, guys, like, why though? Because it's like, I'm just joking around with her. Like, I guess looking back on it now, like, yeah, all the gay jokes about like me and her may have been like, okay, wait, are you guys actually gay or not? Like, we would just be very physical, and but it would just be like very, very playful. But it was the point where one of our friends thought, because we went on a trip together to Florida. It's on my channel actually, and because of that trip, our one friend thought we were gay and dating, and it's like, what? You're literally our friend.
It was different, and I always say this, but I'll say it again. It was different. It was definitely different that time because it's like, okay, you're actually close to us.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, you are a part of our friend circle. Yeah. You're part of our circle, and you thought that.
Yeah.
It's different.
He could just be oblivious, though. Like, I don't know. Maybe he's just... I mean,
I was like...
True.
I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, it was that bad?
So I was just worried because I don't know, all throughout high school, I was like, I want a boyfriend, Mm-hmm. And I was worried that, like, people thinking I'm gay is going to impact, whether or not I got one or something,
I mean...
Obviously, I do love you, Kayla, and you are living with me now, and we are best friends.
But nothing ever happens.
It is. I do not feel like
intimate. I feel a little intimate. I don't know.
Well, no, we are intimate as like, but like in a friend way. We're not intimate in a not friend way. Okay. Whatever you say. No, but
you're just playing it up for the camera.
All right, next topic. Moving on. But yeah. So basically, yes, he cared about you, and to be honest, I was like, dang, what the heck? I'm friends with her, and you it's like, why I want to be in on some of this like conversations, but but nonetheless, I'm glad that he was there for you.
I did email him actually at the end of my senior year.
Oh, I was like
I gave
yesterday?
Him,
Sorry.
No, I was like, I thanked him. I was like, thank you for
being nice to me.
Yes, basically, I was like, thank you for being nice to me.
Yeah.
And he, I forget what he said. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
But I remember it was pleasant. I remember it made me feel good.
There are good apples, and we're not saying that there aren't, but it did feel like there were a lot for you to come by. Like my senior year, I didn't feel like I had a compassionate teacher that I was like cool with. Like, sure, I had teachers that that were nice and they were nice to me and blah blah blah, or maybe some that weren't so nice, but I didn't. I always wanted like a close teacher connection, not in a weird way, but just in like a like, okay, this just I guess I wanted to be, I guess, a favorite. I don't know, just like you're cool with a teacher and you can talk to them and you could be more on an equal level than such a when there's such a. I mean, as opposed to having that, very superior, inferior separation as teacher-student,
Yeah. I mean, my senior year, I agree. I don't think I really had any. I think the closest maybe was our very last period.
True, and and I did forget to mention her. Yes, she was very, very nice and very, very compassionate, But, I think for a lot of these teachers that, we say are nice and compassionate that actually show like a sort of empathy, it's funny, like the teaching was
Is
not so much
not.
at the forefront. It was more of the emotion. So it's like, okay, what would be nice is to combine those two. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm learning in your class and you also care about me as a person. But it did kind
Well,
of go one or the other in most cases.
there is one exception.
I don't remember.
My
Oh, yes,
teacher.
yeah. Yes.
He was
And
the
he
one
is the
exception.
exception.
I learned a lot in his
Would
class.
you? Is there anything else you'd like to say? Because I did want to move on to one last thing.
Oh yeah, move on to your.
Thank you, Kayla. My beautiful co-host, who I am not gay for.
Thank you.
Anyway, I wanted to say that in this one instance that really kind of gets my blood boiling because I was kind of almost set up for failure. There is this one class. No, I'm trying to be vague, but also explain.
You had to do a project.
There's this one class you had to do a project, and you have to get your project approved. And granted, I should have known, the extent of the rubric, but the person that has to approve my rubric also did not know the kind of ins and outs of the rubric. So when I wanted to do a project on. I wanted to do a study on people in the school and how their mental health is affected by the seasons changing. Like, okay, maybe it's better when the weather is warmer and maybe it's worse when the weather is colder. Just things like that. And I wanted to do a survey around the school. But that person who was going to approve the project said, no, you don't have to do that. There's already studies out there. You should just do a meta-analysis of that study or of studies like that. And I was like, okay, I guess. And my teacher didn't have a problem with it, and that person that was approving it didn't have a problem with it. And then I get a 2 on the exam because the rubric says that you are supposed to conduct your own experiment, your own study. So by that, I was set up to fail because my project was not going to be approved as an experiment. It was only approved as a meta-analysis, which is not your own experiment. It's a study of other experiments. So I was literally set up for failure at the beginning because he said not to do what I wanted to do and changed it. And he clearly did not know the rubric. And look, I can't do anything about it now, but it's just a big injustice because he didn't know what he was doing. I was set up for failure, and the College Board was like, "Screw you! We can't do anything about it. We can't change it." And it's just
well, your teacher should
incompetence.
Your teacher, you had three barriers between you and that exam. It was you not knowing the rubric that much, but you're also the student, and this is like your first time taking this class.
It's not like I didn't. It was even if the whole thing is. I think I did though. It was like I wanted to do an experiment. It's not like I set it up as I'm doing a meta-analysis. No, the beginning was doing an experiment, and it was shot down, and it only was approved by that guy who clearly did not know the rubric, and was put in that position of power over me. And so it was turned into not an experiment.
Yes, as a student versus someone who you're looking.
What am I supposed to say to him when he doesn't approve it?
But it's like, okay, then him, and he doesn't know the rubric. So it's like, okay, why are you even in charge of this? And then your teacher, who also approved it, who very well, out of everyone in that group, should have known the rubric. So the fact that you're the only one who had any sort of idea what the rubric
in that group
in that group of people.
Yeah. It's infuriating and yeah, it's really upsetting because my paper, a lot of people I had look at it and it wasn't like the paper was like, oh, it was in broken English. It's not like my paper was super bad. It was doomed to fail no matter how good it is because
it didn't match
the rubric in that way, the experimental design that it was supposed to have.
Component of the rubric. You would think your teacher, at the very least, would be able to stop you and be like, "This is not what the rubric asks."
Yeah.
But And he's infamous anyways.
Yeah.
Of course it would be him that set you up to fail like that.
Yeah, I mean, I got into college. I'm fine. I'm alive. I don't know.
I wish you would have
But
done that study, though, because I feel like...
it's
not
really
that you would have
interesting.
been able to finish it. Well, you might have.
No,
Through
it was
online
supposed
servers.
presentations. I was supposed to have a presentation the next week, the week that school got called off for us.
That's good.
I was honestly kind of like relieved because I did not want to present. I just felt like I just didn't like that project. I hated that project because I had to go through other people's studies. I think I would have liked it a lot better if it was my own study. So I really hated that project.
To be.
Right, which is what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that was really a lot. That was a big source of unhappiness. I was just so unhappy my senior year because I was taking a lot of AP classes. And again, like I said, I felt like I wasn't getting the respect that I wanted, and it was also, I hated that project, even though I was in the right the whole time, you know, and I was dealing with just not nice and incompetent people.
That would have been an interesting thing I wish you would have done that, because I would have loved to have seen it.
Tell it to the guy.
Well, he knows who he is. If he's watching this, screw you.
He's also the guy that made us do those career cafes that apparently we didn't even have to do.
No, we didn't. And I heard from one of my close sources who often deals with the school in a very strained way, if you know who I'm referring to. But you probably don't. But I heard that that they found out through some rummaging that it was more something that the school was supposed to be doing the whole time, that they were supposed to be implementing from when we were freshmen, that they were failing to do. And then
is this a female?
Yes.
Okay.
And then when the Board of Education was like, okay, can we see your stuff? They were like,
no.
So then, all of a sudden, in the last month of junior year, they're all trying to scramble and be like, okay, you have to do it, like, blah, 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 you have to do this, and that. And we're all like, what? Like, we can't graduate next year unless we do this? Like, what the hell?
It was scary. Because,
yes, and then it turned out, in the end, it was just complete buffoonery. Buffoonery. Because he was like, you don't have to do it. Because only like 70% of people did it, 70% of people didn't do it. Only 30% of people had done it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
I made sure I got that done.
Me too. But there were people who didn't do it at all. And guess what? They still got to graduate with us.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It didn't even matter in the first place. And it was all just some big ploy, which is to wrap up this whole point of the podcast, is that the school is self-serving and only cares about their own image. It was an act to save face for them.
Yeah. A lot of that comes down to it. It's just them, being kind of fake. It's like they say one thing. It's like they say, oh, we, care about our students and we care about their mental health. And then they do another thing that that just does not corroborate that, So yeah. Thank you guys for listening to us talk about our high school experiences. I think we have
got it out.
Got it a lot out. I guess our high school experience was interesting, but I think it could have been a lot better. I think there could have been a lot more, empathy, and there wasn't necessarily that. Yeah. But, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, okay, at least I am, able to get an education. I was privileged enough to at least go to a high school as good as this one, and blah, blah, blah. These were just some of my grievances that I had and some of Kayla's grievances that she had. So, yes, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm excited to do more of these.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Bye.